Surely you've heard a distinctive tenor voice asking, "Baby, don't you want to go?" in movies like Spider-Man Homecoming and Geico insurance commercials. Going Up the Country, the song by blues rock band Canned Heat about getting away from the hectic city life and heading up to a rural area. It became the 1969 Woodstock Festival's unofficial anthem. Getting out of town and back to nature on Max Gasker's rural New York dairy farm was what it was all about. But who was the voice behind the rural hippie anthem that defined a generation? Alan Christie Wilson was born on July 4, 1943 in the Boston suburb Arlington, Massachusetts. He is widely remembered as a pioneer of blues rock during its crucial development period of the 1960s. Wilson developed an obsessive love for nature at a young age, well before his love of the blues. Highly academic, the Blind Owl, as he was nicknamed, always carried books on botany and ecology, and even had aspirations to become a botanist had he not been a musician. He loved all plants and trees and was one of the first environmentalists during the rise of the 1960s New Environmentalism movement. Once he moved to California and formed Canned Heat, he became highly dedicated to protecting and preserving the coastal redwoods, which he saw increasingly endangered by pollution, logging, and urban sprawl. Redwoods are naturally resistant to insects, fungi, and fire due to their high tannin production. Their thick reddish bark provides protection and insulation and can grow up to 3 feet thick. They are the largest trees in the world, growing over 300 feet tall and almost 30 feet wide. Currently the tallest, Hyperion, in Redwood National Park is 380 feet. They can live for over 2,500 years and thus are a long-term source for carbon storage, and they transform carbon dioxide into the oxygen we breathe. They provide a safe haven for endangered birds and wildlife like the northern spotted owl, black bears, and the Humboldt martin. Prior to 1850, there were 2 million acres of old-growth redwoods. The gold rush of the late 1800s drew thousands of settlers to California and displaced many Native American tribes and increased the demand for lumber. After a devastating earthquake in 1906, the demand increased exponentially for new construction. Redwoods were valued for their strength and resilience. By the late 1960s, approximately 1/3 of redwood groves were partially or heavily logged. Now, only 5% of the old-growth redwood forest remains, and only 29% of all redwood forests are protected. Alan Wilson preferred sleeping outside over the comfort of a bed in order to be close to nature. His pockets were often filled with leaves and soil samples, and over the years he amassed a large pine cone collection of cones he collected from around the world. When his bandmate Bob Hite bought him a camper van for his 26th birthday, he camped in Yosemite and Sequoia National Park at every opportunity when Canned Heat was not on tour. Nature was his retreat from the world of rock stardom. While on tour, Wilson would visit a local park or woods in lieu of partying. In an interview with New Musical Express, Hite said of Wilson, "He'll be wandering up some tree in Hyde Park. That guy loves trees. He'll be holding a bunch of leaves and raving about some rare new discovery." According to Canned Heat manager Skip Taylor, Wilson performed a study in 1969 on how rising levels of pollution would affect plant life on Earth, and then determine what species could survive if pollution levels continued to rise at the current rates at the time. During his studies, Wilson was even credited as discovering 2 new species of trees in the Northwest. When Wilson finished the study, he concluded that nothing could survive. His friend and blues colleague Marina Bolkelman stated, "The pain of nature was his own pain. His greatest pain was that the redwoods were becoming extinct, and that this would somehow mean the end of everything." In the summer of 1969, he wrote the song "Poor Moon," expressing his concern of pollution from the moon landing in July of the same year. In August 1970, Canned Heat released their 5th album, Future Blues. The cover features the band dressed as astronauts on the moon mocking the flag raising at Iwo Jima. The upside-down American flag was Wilson's idea in response to the moon landing and the country's social distress. But retailers like Sears and Kmart found the cover offensive and refused to stock the album. The inner gatefold shows canned heat among the redwoods and features Wilson's essay called Grim Harvest. It begins, "The redwoods of California are the tallest living things on earth, nearly the oldest and among the most beautiful to boot. And that walking through this forest is an experience unique on earth." He ends the essay with a plea to prevent future blues by making a donation to his newly established organization, Music Mountain. The Music Mountain Foundation was a conservation fund to raise money in order to purchase a grove in the Skunk Cabbage Creek area of northwestern California near Orick to be added to the surrounding Redwood National Park. Located off Highway 101, Skunk Cabbage Creek Trail was originally a logging road, as evidenced by the redwood stumps. As the name suggests, the area is abundant in skunk cabbage, a yellow flowering plant found along streams and in other wet areas of the Pacific Northwest. Few redwoods remain at the beginning of the trail, as much of the old-growth forests around this trail were logged before Redwood National Park was established, after intense lobbying of Congress on October 2, 1968. Sadly, a month after the release of Future Blues, Wilson was found dead in his sleeping bag in his favorite spot in the woods behind Bob Hite's Topanga Canyon home on the morning of September 3, 1970. He was just 27 years old. On September 13th, a memorial service was held in Menotomy Rocks Park in his hometown of Arlington, a park where he frequently visited as a child. The service was led by Reverend Wilbur Kennedy, who said, "We are using the sky as a roof and the ground as a floor, because he himself used nature's great wonders as his home." Wilson was cremated and his ashes were later scattered in Sequoia National Park among the redwoods he deeply loved. A memorial tree was planted in Menotomy Rocks Park on the 50th anniversary of Allen's death. At the time of Wilson's untimely death, Music Mountain had raised $1.5 million of the $8 million necessary for the addition of Skunk Cabbage Creek to Redwood National Park. Canned Heat, along with their manager, agreed to donate proceeds from major concerts after Wilson's death. However, the donations were later misappropriated and the project fell through. Although Skunk Cabbage Creek was eventually saved and added to Redwood National Park by Save the Redwoods League. In 2011, Wilson's family purchased a grove naming in his memory through the Save the Redwoods League of California. The money donated to create this memorial will be used by the league to support redwood reforestation, research, education, and land acquisition of both new and old-growth redwoods. Since it was established in 1918, Save the Redwoods League has protected over 200,000 acres of ancient redwood and is leading efforts to restore old forest characteristics to young redwood forest stands. Since 1921, more than 1,000 redwood groves have been established in California's beautiful redwood parks, including the John D. Rockefeller Grove in Humboldt Redwood State Park and the Amelia Earhart Grove in Jedediah Smith State Park. Please visit the link in the video description on mobile or desktop to make a donation gift either in honor of or in memory of Allen Wilson. For each donation of $75 or more, Save the Redwoods League will plant a new tree. If $100,000 is raised, Allen will be honored with a plaque in a second growth forest grove. Make a donation today to protect redwoods and help Save the Redwoods League help Allen's dream come true.